But when you decided maybe to meet with him, was it already with the idea in the back of your head to do this, or was it just like
friends?
Maybe you see as okay.
And then we ended up on a record together, an album called Pushkin. It's a Russian band actually, that will be coming out in September. And he heard what I was doing on the record, and I heard what he was doing, and I called him and said, well, we got to do something, you know. And we knew we were going to do something. But last November, Joe was playing the House of Blues in Los Angeles, and he calls me and said, you want to come down and sing a couple of songs, play your bass? What do you want to do, Joe? He said, can we do 2 of your songs, Glenn, Mistreated and Reducer? No problem. We go and rehearse in the afternoon. It's great. His band sounds great. Bogey Bowles is playing drums, really great. So we go down, and the audience goes, they go mental, they go crazy. Mm-hmm. And Kevin Shirley's there, Joe's producer, comes backstage and says, man, we got to make a band album rather than Glenn and Joe. So we have 6 weeks as I want to go in the studio, I want to book some time. We have January the 3rd and 4th. Can you be there? Yeah, I can be there. Joe can be there. Who's going to play drums and keyboards? And then Kevin suggested Jason Bonham and Derek Sherinian, 2 people I've known Jason since he was this big. I knew his dad very, very well. So there's now 4 guys on paper. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what about the songs? Where's the songs?
How was it? Can you maybe describe a little bit what was the period before you got caught up in this? Were you already writing, or were you waiting for something like this?
No.
Or was it just?
I was going to make a solo album last October, and I had the songs ready, and I stopped because the songs weren't the right songs for me at that moment. They were more groovy, funky tracks, which I personally love. Mm-hmm. But I had a dream late last October that I was going to be in a band again, and I was going to be leading a rock band.
Can you describe the dream?
The dream was this. All the songs I'd just written were going to be placed on the shelf. That I had to write some more songs for a rock band. The band I was going to be in, I didn't know who was in the band, but it was a big rock band. So I listened to the dream. I also listened to inside of my consciousness, and I try to channel that on a daily basis. So I didn't fight the dream. I wasn't upset with the fact I didn't record these songs. I just knew that I had to start again. So when Joe and I put this band together, I realized that maybe this was the dream. Maybe this was what I was going to do.
Did the dream also have a sound in your head, maybe a little bit? Was it?
It had definitely had a rock and roll British sound to it. So I knew the album was going to be an absolute organic British kind of rock album, and the guys could have been born in Turkey or India. I didn't care. But I needed to make a British, iconic, planting the flag in the ground, traditional rock record. And the next thing, I'm forming a band with 2 Americans and another British guy.
What was for you? Is the dream? Did it have any reference to maybe your past, or was it a totally sort of a whole new experience that sort of refreshed your brain with or was maybe a little bit nostalgia? Or
well, when you look at the people who are in the band, you look at each member, and you look at the how their positives are with Bonham on the drums, and you have that industrial black country groove. Then you have a Hammond organ player from Dream Theater who is really growling on the left hand, the Hammond, really big, covering the guitar when the solo. And you have Joe who plays very organically. And you have me doing my thing vocally, which is going in and around everything and straight down your throat. And I play bass all very organically and aggressive, so it's kind of a good fit.
Yeah, as you mentioned before, you had that on paper, and then you had did you have a time frame where you had to do this all in? Or
yeah, it had to be done in a week.
What was that for you? How did it work?
I wasn't happy about it. I needed a little extra time. It was like a gun was being put to my head, and I had to write this material because nobody else was available. And I knew that I had to take this band to the studio with songs. Joe asked me if I would come up with the initial songs for the recording, which I did. I went down to Brazil, and I had a couple of days, and I sort of went to the jungle with my guitar, and I wrote on a dictaphone some of these songs, you know. And it was kind of a lot of pressure on me, but I enjoy pressure. I enjoy being under the gun.